There is some overlap and interplay between habits and routines. Habits are often the anchor of our routine. So again, if I take a drink of water every morning as soon as I wake up, now I can start layering intentional actions onto those habit anchors until I have formed my routine. Maybe that's adding meditation or journaling after the water, okay? Maybe it's my morning exercise, whatever it is. Hi, I'm Chris LeBrun, your host of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. As someone who's never been afraid of dreaming big and going for it all, I often find myself with a lot on my plate. I'm a husband and father, a nonprofit fundraiser, and an entrepreneur. What I've realized is my view of productivity was pretty toxic. After decades of believing that in order to do more, you had to work harder, I began to see productivity as this beautiful thing. Holistic productivity is the idea that you can accomplish your professional, personal, and purpose-driven goals in a healthy way, and doing so will make you happier and more fulfilled. Join me each week as we break down myths about productivity, share practical tips for maximizing your time, energy, and focus, and hear from others about their productivity journey. This is the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. Hello and welcome to episode number 9 of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. My name is Chris LeBrun. I am your host. I'm a productivity coach. So glad that you are here, that you are investing your time in your productivity and your goals. I know you could be listening to a lot of other podcasts right now, but hopefully you're finding benefit from the show. If you are, I hope that you have subscribed or liked and followed, whatever that takes, so that you can find out when the new episodes are coming out. Hint, it's every Tuesday, but just in case, make sure you subscribe. We are on all the major podcast platforms. You can find us pretty much everywhere that you find or listen to podcasts. We're also on YouTube. If you want to watch the show, you can do that there. And again, subscribe, follow, make sure that you don't miss an episode. Some of you have already rated the show 5 stars. Love seeing that. It's not really about 5 stars for me. I mean, it's cool. It's great. What that really does is help other people find the show. And so if you are learning something here, if this is valuable information for you, then that 5 stars just helps make it available to somebody else. Now, we have been looking at some of the fundamentals of holistic productivity, and this is our final episode in that 6-part series. Let me just go back and recap some of the things that we've done. You'll find links to all of these shows in the show notes, so look for those if you've missed an episode. But we've defined goals, projects, and tasks. That was episode number 4. Then we looked at how to create a goal roadmap in episode number 5. Episode 6, we looked at planning a winning week with my Sunday strategy. And episode 7, we talked about a couple of time management strategies that you can use every single day. Specifically, we looked at the T3P, top 3 priorities, and detours, things that are distracting you, so that you can know how to combat those. Episode number 8, we revealed the 2 secret weapons of holistic productivity. That is self-care and gratitude. Again, if you missed any of those episodes, go back and check them out. Links are in the show notes for today's episode. As I mentioned, today is the last episode in our series on fundamentals, and we're going to wrap up today looking at some tools to help you maximize your productivity and streamline your day. What we're talking about today are habits and routines. Some of the things we're going to talk about is, what are habits and routines? What are the differences? Where are the similarities? Are they the same thing? I don't know. We'll figure that out before the end of the show. And most importantly, how do you use them to boost your productivity? So let's dive in by defining, first of all, what are habits and routines. And I know that you've heard these words a lot, but we just want to make sure that we're working off of the same definition here for this episode. So a habit is an automatic behavior that is triggered by a specific cue or context and is enacted with little conscious thought. Habits are formed through repetition and reinforcement, and they become hardwired in your brain. Some of examples of habits, again, I know you know what these are, but it's having that cup of coffee after you wake up or right after you get into the office. It's checking your phone as soon as you get a notification. Maybe it's this is my favorite actually. It's twirling your hair with your finger as you're talking on the phone, right? Not really my favorite. Another one could be stretching for 5 to 10 seconds every time that you stand up. So again, these are things that you just do without conscious thought. They just happen because you've always done them that way, right? Okay, so a routine is a deliberate sequence of actions or tasks that you plan and execute to achieve a goal. Routines often comprise multiple steps. Some could be habits and some are intentional, but routines require conscious planning and execution. Now, you may have heard people talk about their morning or evening routines, right? So that's what we're talking about here. It's a series of tasks or things that you do. And here's what an evening routine might look like. You put your electronics away, step away from the computer, put the phone down. Then you review your planner to prepare for tomorrow. Next, you're going to journal your gratitude for the day. You might do some breathing exercises or meditation. Then you might read a chapter or so in a book. And then it's lights out at your reasonable time so that you can get enough sleep to go do everything that you need to do tomorrow. Okay, so that might be your evening routine. Now let's look at some of the key differences between habits and routines. And one of the first ones is initiation. Again, habits are triggered automatically by cues. That could be time, place, or emotion. Emotions are where we really get into the bad habits, right? I'm sad or I'm frustrated, so I eat a bag of chips, right? It's a bad habit and it's triggered by emotion. Routines, on the other hand, are initiated consciously. I will do X after Y. I'm going to start my evening routine now. Okay, so initiation is one of the key differences. Another one is complexity. Again, a habit is a single action. It's brushing the teeth. It's putting on the deodorant, right? A routine, on the other hand, is a multi-step process that takes the form of several different actions. Okay, it's that morning self-care ritual that I do every single day, for an example, to get ready in the morning. Another difference between habit and routine is the level of flexibility. Once you establish a habit, this is, again, good, bad, otherwise, right? Once you establish that habit, it's pretty inflexible. You are going to do it. It's very hard to override that habit and do something different because, again, they are triggered by cues. Okay? Routines, on the other hand, are a lot more adaptable. You can add things, you can remove things, you can reorder your steps. It's great because you get a chance to really hone in on what works best. Try a routine for a week or two, see if you like it, change a couple things, and then go at it again and see where that sweet spot really is. So that is another difference with the flexibility. Couple more differences here that we're going to look at. The next to the last is awareness. Again, habits are very low conscious involvement. You don't have to think about doing them at all. You just do it. Okay. And again, that can be good or bad depending on what the habit is. Routines are high conscious involvement, especially at the beginning. You have to plan it out. You have to make sure that you were going to start, and you have to put a lot of thought into it. The final difference between habits and routines is the purpose. Habits are often driven by reward loops. And so we're looking for that hit of dopamine. We're looking for relief or pleasure or something that we are going to feel and get rewarded for. Routines, on the other hand, are driven by our broader objectives or intentions. And like with the case of a morning routine, the purpose might be to get me out of the door and on my way to work with the least distraction, with making sure that I get everything that I need to do accomplished. Let's pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back. This episode is sponsored by Efficient.app. Big shout out to Alex and Andra from Efficient.app for sponsoring the Holistic Productivity Podcast from the very beginning. We love that. When you are looking for new software, Efficient.app is the place to go. They have already done all the research for you, which saves you the headache of doing a trial of every single app you want to look at. They offer hundreds of product reviews and comparison videos that are informative and fun to watch. Want to hear how Motion stacks up against Monday.com or Asana or ClickUp? They have a review for that. Here's what I love. They promise no BS software reviews. They tell you exactly what they love and what they don't love. And best of all, they have negotiated special deals, discounts, or even extended trial periods for a bunch of different products. If you're going to look for software, do yourself a favor and let Efficient.app do the work for you. Click on the link in the show notes. That's the best way to get there because you'll let them know that you appreciate them sponsoring the Holistic Productivity Podcast as well. Check them out, Efficient.app. The link in the show notes. You won't regret it. There is some overlap and interplay between habits and routines. Habits are often the anchor of our routine. So again, if I take a drink of water every morning as soon as I wake up, now I can start layering intentional actions onto those habit anchors until I have formed my routine. Maybe that's adding meditation or journaling after the water, okay? Maybe it's my morning exercise, whatever it is. Some elements of your routine can become habitual if you do them consistently enough, so they can actually become habits that you do because you've done them so much. But the key is, if you're consciously doing it, it's not a habit. It's just another task in your routine. So how do habits and routines help increase your productivity? Well, habits free up your mental bandwidth for higher order thinking, right? You don't have to think about brushing your teeth. You just do it. And maybe while you're doing it, you're thinking about something else that you have to do today or something that's going on at work or at home, right? So you're not thinking about brushing your teeth. Habits are easier to sustain once you've established them, and routines ensure that you have purpose-driven structure to your day. You can create the routine you want, and like I said, you can keep testing it and dialing it in until you find the exact order that is best for you. Again, routines allow for reflection and adjustment and promote long-term alignment with your evolving goals. So as your goals change, so can your routines. So how do you create new habits? Well, we've said that habits are automatic. They are learned behaviors by doing something repeatedly and consistently until it just becomes second nature. Many, if not most, of your habits were learned unintentionally. I never really set out to eat that bag of chips when I was, feeling frustrated, right? But that's what I do. Okay? That's the habit that I can fall into. And like I said, sometimes your tasks or the elements of your routine, if you do them long enough, those can become habits for you. This is why it's so important for you to be intentional about the routines that you develop, because some of these steps could become habits. When creating a routine, start small and build as you grow. Don't try to read a whole chapter in your book. Read just a couple of paragraphs or maybe a page or two. Don't start out trying to do a 30-minute workout. Do 10 push-ups, right? You can increase the time that you spend on these elements as they become more natural and you are more comfortable doing them. Don't add 7 things to your routine all at once. add them one at a time and build slowly until you get the routine that you want. And then reinforce that immediately, right? Our brain craves that immediate reward loop. So celebrate your wins immediately after each part of your routine to strengthen that behavior cue association. One way to do this is to have a checklist, and you can literally just check it off. It sounds silly, but that is something that our brain loves to do. It loves checking off things. I think we've talked about this before. Sometimes you'll put things on your to-do list that you already have done just so you have the pleasure of checking that off and giving your brain that reward. Having that checklist and checking off your routines or your habits every single day can be helpful, especially if you want to look at the whole week. Because remember, it's not just about one day, it's the accumulation of days. Your brain does not want you to break the streak or to break the chain. That's why games like Duolingo and other games are so powerful, because we don't want to break the streak. They've gamified it so that you don't want to not do it. And you can do the same thing by tracking your habits, tracking your routines, checking them off each day, each week, every time that you do that. I have a weekly habit tracker in the Holistic Productivity Planner and on my free Sunday strategy worksheet. Now, this gives you that visual representation of your progress every day for the week. And so that gives you the dopamine that your brain craves, looking at that and seeing it. I've talked about it before, but you can get my Sunday strategy worksheet and guide for free when you sign up for my mailing list at mysundaystrategy.com. And if you want to check out the planner, would love to have you do that as well. You can visit holisticproductivity.com/shop. Okay, so you can check those out. But remember, building a routine is intentional. So think through each step. Like I said, don't be afraid to play with the timing and the order until you've got that dialed in. And that might mean switching things around from your morning routine to your evening routine. We'll talk about some of those things here in a little bit. Morning and evening routines are a great way to start with a routine if you don't already have one. And this is just creating a series of tasks that you want to accomplish. They could be practical things like getting your coffee, eating your breakfast, showering, ironing, etc. Or they could be those self-care items that you want to make sure you get into your day: exercise, reading, journaling, planning your time for tomorrow. If you're rushed for time in the morning, one of the things that you can add to your evening routine is some of the stuff that you need to do in the morning to get out the door. Maybe it's packing up your lunch the night before or laying out your clothes so that you don't have to decide what you're going to wear tomorrow. Evening routines are also great to help you step away from electronics. Sleep experts say that you need at least 30 minutes before bedtime with no electronics whatsoever. An hour is even better, but at least 30 minutes. And I know that in today's digital age, that is hard for many of us. But an evening routine can be a great way to wind down and de-stress. I gave an example at the beginning of the episode about what an evening routine could look like to get away from those electronics. The final thing that I want to mention here is just give yourself some grace. If you mess up, if you don't follow your routine, if you aren't getting the right habits in there that you want, most of our habits have taken a lifetime to develop and mature. And starting from scratch to build a new routine, to build new habits isn't easy. It takes time. So if you mess up, again, don't beat yourself up. Just start over. This isn't a point of failure. It's a point of growth. And so just keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't give up. Okay, so let's recap some of the things that we've talked about today. Habits are automatic behaviors triggered by a specific cue or context, and routines are sequences of actions or tasks that help us achieve a goal. There are some clear differences between routines and tasks. We talked about initiation, we talked about complexity, flexibility, awareness, and purpose. But they can also work together. You can use existing habits as anchor points for other elements of your routine. And new habits may form out of your routine if you are intentional and consistent and do them over and over and over until they become those habits. Look for ways to reward your behavior so that your brain gets that hit of dopamine that it is craving. A habit tracker may be a great way to do this so that you can see your streak and you make sure that you don't break that then. Finally, don't beat yourself up. It took you a lifetime to develop the habits that you have. You're not going to change them overnight, and it's going to take time to develop new ones. So again, just be gentle with yourself, right? You deserve that. Well, that's it for the show today. Thank you for being here. Again, you can check out the show notes. I've got links to all of the episodes in our Fundamental series and also for the Sunday Strategy worksheet and guide and the Holistic Productivity Planner. You can find that all at holisticproductivity.com/9. That's where the show notes are, again, for episode 9. Again, make sure that you are subscribed on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube so that you can get the next episode when it drops. That's going to be on Tuesday, but again, just so that you have that habit formed, right? As soon as it's there in your podcast player, you can listen to it. This wraps up our series on the fundamentals of holistic productivity, but you don't want to miss our show next week. Again, it is going to be fantastic information that I know you are going to want to hear to help you be more productive. Also, again, if you like the show and find it valuable, please consider rating it on your favorite podcast platform so that other people can find the show and they can get the benefit as well. Make sure you follow us on social media. We are all over the place. Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can find more productivity tips and motivation on the social media channels, so check that out. And thank you so much again for listening in. It means a lot to me. As always, my goal with the show is to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. We'll see you next time. Before I sign off, close your eyes for a minute, unless you're driving. But close your eyes and imagine this. It's Friday. You're excited for the weekend. TGIF, right? You're wrapping up the work week, getting ready to leave the office. But as you're walking out the door, you start to reflect on the week and you say, what did I even accomplish this week? It's a frustrating feeling and a horrible way to start your weekend. You know that you've worked hard all week, but you have little or nothing to show for it. If you've ever had these feelings at the end of your week, I have a special offer for you to help you on your productivity journey. I talk about it all the time. Being intentional with your time is one of the biggest parts of productivity. And one of the best ways you can be intentional is to plan your week. Planning your week provides clarity on your priorities. It eliminates confusion about what needs to be done, and it sets you on a path for success. Now, I've developed the perfect tool to help you plan your week. I call it my Sunday Strategy, and I want to give you my Sunday Strategy worksheet and guide absolutely free when you sign up for my weekly newsletter. The guide offers clear strategies for using the principles of holistic productivity to plan your week. You'll have a mindset shift away from the toxic aspects of productivity, and you'll get step-by-step directions for using the Sunday Strategy worksheet. With My Sunday Strategy, you only need 15 minutes each Sunday to plan out your entire week. It'll let you identify major projects and tasks that are coming up, assign those projects to specific days, and best of all, there are different sections for each area of your life: professional, personal, and purpose-driven, so you can reach all of your goals. My Sunday Strategy worksheet also includes a weekly habit tracker to keep you focused on the habits that you want to develop. So if you want to avoid those Friday feelings of frustration and despair, you need My Sunday Strategy worksheet. It's the perfect planning tool to help you build the winning strategy for your week. It's a resource you can come back to each day to keep you focused on reaching your goals, and it's an accountability tool to help you track your progress. Basically, it can help you have the most productive week ever. Like I said, it is completely free when you sign up for my weekly newsletter, which also features more strategies and tips to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. To get My Sunday Strategy worksheet and guide, go to mysundaystrategy.com and sign up. That's mysundaystrategy.com. There will also be a link in the show notes, but again, mysundaystrategy.com. Look forward to having you back here for the next episode of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast.